Hello everyone, I'm E Speaks Freely and welcome to Vox Populi. Today we're going to be talking about the recent changes in abortion law in order to decriminalise women who get an abortion beyond the 24-week limit. The interesting thing about this that I think that no one's talking about is the fact that the doctors themselves, for performing an abortion beyond 24 weeks, will still be criminalised and held liable. However, the mothers won't be. This, I think, is a dangerous almost promotion towards going back to a time of back alley abortions, taking pills that are supposed to be used for only up to 10 weeks. And I think it's going down a really bad route. So I would just like to break it down, go through some of the risks, and go through maybe where people can come to some kind of middle ground. June 17th, 2025, the UK Parliament voted to decriminalise abortion for women in England and Wales. Now, this is one of the most significant reforms to abortion laws since 1967. Now, this change in the legislation now protects women that use pills such as mifepristone and misoprostol, which were legalised for abortions at home up to 10 weeks gestation. Now, if the legal limit for an abortion to be performed by a doctor is 24 weeks, and they have stated that they are not actually changing the 24-week limit, they are just decriminalising women who have abortions beyond that 24-week limit. So my question is, what is the point in having the limit to begin with if people can go beyond, right? So these at-home abortion pills are only supposed to be used for gestation periods up to 10 weeks, an absolute maximum. Now that it has been decriminalised for women to abort at home on their own beyond 24 weeks, it is likely that they will be using medications such as these. It is a gruesome but very important point to make that because these medications are only supposed to successfully abort fetuses up to 10 weeks, any use for a fetus beyond that may result in an unsuccessful abortion. And yes, that is possibly as gruesome as you're imagining it to be. That is when an abortion has not fully worked. That is when an abortion hasn't fully worked. That causes major health problems for the mother and obviously causes massive suffering to the baby. I'd also like to go through some of the physical development that the fetus would be at this stage, just to kind of paint a very real picture of what our government is advocating for in the guise of feminism. So at 24 weeks, a fetus is at the cusp of viability, meaning that it could potentially survive outside the womb with intensive medical support. It is about 12 to 14 inches long and weighs approximately 1.5 pounds, which is about 600 to 700 grams. The lungs are immature but developing, and the heart, brain and digestive system are not fully mature, but they are functional. At 24 weeks, the eyes are formed, but the eyelids remain fused. Skin is thin, translucent and wrinkled, and the fetus can respond to sound and touch. Also, at this stage, the mother will feel movements and kicks from the baby, and the baby now has reflexes such as grasping. So this is the stage that we're talking about, where these babies that are viable even outside the womb, or could be viable outside the womb, don't deserve protection. This means that, and I'm not saying that all abortions happen under this guise, but that means that if a woman was to carry a baby to 7, 8 months and then had some kind of financial burden where she decided she wasn't able to care for the baby anymore, she would be able to abort that baby at 7 or 8 months. Technically, if you really were to go that far, this legislation means that if a mother was to abort a baby at literally a day before her due date at 9 months, she would not be held liable. Why does 48 hours between the baby being inside the womb and being born, why does that make a difference as to whether or not it's murder, right? Now, another important point to make is the fact that we have to be realistic. Everyone has got divided between the argument of pro-life and pro-choice, but we live in a very complicated world. You are not going to be able to create laws based on faith, especially not in a Western society. That's not how we work. We don't do dictatorship. Well, under Keir Starmer we do, but usually that's not how we do things. So pre-1967, obviously back alley abortions such as things with coat hangers and things like that were rife. They were absolutely everywhere. And it's only when the Abortion Act in 1967 came in that those started to decrease, because women felt that they could go down the proper routes. It was safer for all involved. Usually, obviously, as they're an early stage, abortions are usually a quick and easy thing. I'm not advocating for abortions. I'm just saying that there is a difference between getting say an abortion at 6 to 8 weeks than get an abortion at 32 weeks. There is a huge difference. All online, you can find interviews of ex-abortionists saying how the difference in tools that they use depending on the gestation period of the baby. Now, that is a massive, significant factor into where abortion should or should not be suitable. Now, regardless of where it is suitable, this needs to be focusing on the fact that we are decriminalising going beyond the limits that we have set in our own law. So again, I ask the question, what is the point in having those laws in the first place? What is the point in having the 24-week limit on abortion if a woman can go get some pills that are designed for up to a 10-week abortion? She can go home, she can take them. Let's say it's a successful abortion. She has killed a baby. She will not be persecuted, she will not be charged, she will not have anything, right? And another point that I'd like to make is where this says that our country is going in terms of feminism. For years, we have taught women that being a mother and having a family unit is not good for you, somehow. We have taught them that in order to be a successful woman, you have to be 100% independent. You have to focus on career rather than children. And it just takes away the innate biological reality of every woman, which is automatically to nurture and be maternal. And that is something that is systematically and purposefully been taken away from us, because there is also a point to be made about the fact that those that are worried about things like the Great Replacement theory, it has to be said, you know who won't be going for these abortions? The Islamic population. You know whose birth rates are skyrocketing above native British population? The Islamic population. Now, this is another thing that people are worried about, because this, again, is just another thing that the typical middle-class liberal demographic are going to jump to under the name of women's rights. And anyone who has been speaking out about the issues of this recent legislation change has been deemed as a bully and someone who just has it out for women's rights and wants women to control every aspect of women's bodies. And it's just not the case. It's not always about the woman. There are obviously always circumstances that need to be looked into. Abortion is not a black and white thing. It is circumstantial. There are cases like rape, incest that need to be looked in more carefully. There are children that are raped and get pregnant, you know, and when it comes to the physical jeopardy of the mother as well, that is also an issue that needs to be taken into account. But on the massive scale of things, we are seeing a shift towards abortion being akin to a contraceptive. I do wonder where we're going to be in, 30, 40 years. Is it going to be, are the doctors still going to be liable if they do an abortion procedure beyond 24 weeks? Where will the line end? I mean, recently, Lily Allen and Makita Oliver were talking about how they've had about 5 abortions each. But actually, Lily Allen said that she doesn't even remember because she's had that many. Now, between them, that's 10. Those are 10 fetuses. Those are 10 possible people that could have been. I could have been aborted. You could have been aborted. Any one of us could not be here because of the choices of those who came before us. That is what we're talking about here. And you know what? Like I said earlier, with the differences between, without this legislation, a woman could abort a week before the baby's due date. What does that week make a difference between abortion and murder? Because I tell you now, serial killers have been convicted and named serial killers for killing less than 5 people. So what is Lily Allen and Makita Oliver? Anyone who follows politics will know that we are living in a country where you're either left, you're right, you're for Israel, you're for Palestine, you're for pro-trans, or you're a TERF or whatever. It's all about picking sides. When it comes to abortion, it is not about pro-choice and pro-life. It is about the children, and it is about victims, right? Abortion used to be something that was only reserved for women who had been raped or violated in some way, or if they were going to have serious damages to their own physical well-being, or such as ectopic pregnancies, for example. Perfect example. No way around it. The baby wouldn't survive, the mother wouldn't survive, therefore abortion is the only logical route. But as I said, we are living in a society now that teaches women that the more men you sleep with, it means that you're sexually liberated. It means that you should be, it's something to be proud of. And we're taught not to look for good men who are actual protectors, actual providers, and who are going to give us a nice life and a family unit. That is what this country is missing. Family units. And it is a very important point to make. And there needs to be some kind of middle ground where people stop going left, right, pro-choice, pro-life, and come to an agreement in the middle. Now, personally, I'm a Christian, so I don't agree with abortion full stop. However, there are circumstances like rape, incest, and like I just said, ectopic pregnancies. Living in a pragmatic society, if you were to go by the Bible, obviously abortions would be banned. Being a pragmatic person and a realist, I don't believe that we should ban abortions, because then back alley abortions and alternative methods would once again skyrocket like they did pre-1967. So there needs to be an agreement where we have a limit, but the women that go over that limit, they have to be held accountable. As soon as you look down at that pregnancy test and you see a positive result, you are responsible for a life. You are responsible for a child, and you need to act as such. You have plenty of time up until, let's say, just hypothetically speaking, let's say if the abortion limit was something much less uncomfortable, such as between 8 to 10 weeks. Right? That is still a lot of time for women to make an informed decision. We need better pregnancy testing. We need more availability from GPs, because there are more ways to pregnancy test than just going to Boots and getting a test and peeing on a stick. You can go and get blood tests, you can go and get other scans. There are so many ways to find out earlier and find out what you want to do, because you are, at the end of the day, responsible for a life. And that needs to be talked about. Yes, even victims of rape and incest, if you have gone beyond a certain threshold, you need to understand what you're dealing with. And if you choose to have an abortion beyond a certain stage, you need to be able to come to the terms with the fact that you are killing a baby. You are ending a life. And that is not something that you can get around. So, personally, I think that women who are aborting beyond 24 weeks should be criminalised, absolutely. I think that abortion pills that can be taken at home up to 10 weeks gestation period, I don't think that they should be available to women who are clearly beyond that period, and there are ways to find out. I think that they should only be prescribed, so that they can make sure that women are getting them who aren't beyond that stage, and therefore getting incomplete abortions. And also, I think that if the women are decriminalised, then why aren't the doctors? Because it's the women who would be going to the doctors for advice, the doctors would be giving them advice, and now, because the doctors are liable but the women are not, what are the doctors going to be advising them to do? Go and do it themselves. This is a massive problem, and people should be talking about it. It's not a left or right issue. It's not a pro-choice or pro-life issue. It is an issue about children. We have seen a massive attack on our youth from all angles, whether it be the grooming gang scandal, whether it be the trans ideology, and now with abortion. I mean, even with the assisted dying bill, there are so many amendments that have been rejected that it does not protect anyone. The bill is supposed to be for over 18s, but that amendment for it to be only for over 18s was rejected. So as I said, our youth is being attacked from all sides, and this is just another way, and we can't let it happen. So if you enjoyed watching this video, please like, share and subscribe, and you can find me at eSpeaksFreely on X, Instagram and YouTube.